and we are officially recording. And we have a very special treat today. We have Junior Keelah Dixon, who's not only a member of the very successful women's basketball team, but she's also a wellness advocate and someone that just from talking to for about 8 minutes before this interview, I already very much admire, and I'm so impressed by the way you look at life and by the way that you've been handling this whole situation. So Keelah, first of all, thank you so much. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Well, of course. And the first question I want to ask you, with everything going on, how are you feeling right now? How's it been going for you so far?
It's pretty good. I'm not gonna lie, I definitely was struggling with the transition initially. I think, a lot of athletes and students in general can relate to going from being busy all day to having nothing. I think that's very difficult. I'm used to having a regimen. But over the past weeks, I've kind of been challenging myself to kind of accept that, things are going to be slow, and that it's okay to, take breaks or maybe not be so strict to a schedule all the time, and kind of just embrace that in a way. So I think I've been doing better and better in kind of assimilating to what's going on each day, taking it one day at a time.
I love that. And you're being good to yourself too. You're giving yourself that opportunity to realize that this is a big transition right now. And I think that level of self-recognition is so important. And what I want to ask you, so I love everything that you're doing on campus. So what made you so passionate about mental health?
For me, I had a very difficult first year at Colgate. I just think, there was a lot going on as athletes. We have so much on our plates. I think that I basically started getting involved with Shaw Wellness Center. Before I started working for them, I started getting involved because I was curious on the resources that they had. And I also think that can be very difficult for many people, like taking that first step to kind of just like go into some place and and ask for help. I think I struggle with that a lot. But I kind of went on a limb and I did that. And I started learning about mental health and why it's so important. And I think it's such a huge aspect of life. And for it being so huge, I feel like it definitely can be pushed under the rug or go unnoticed by a lot of like athlete students. And we have so many other things on our plate. And I think it's hard to fit it in. But once you do, it's too difficult to continue to put on the side because it basically runs everything else. Like if your mental health is where it should be, then you can be successful athletically, academically, social wise. And I started learning how it does connect to everything, and that if I were to be successful at Colgate, I was going to have to work really hard to understand myself and what that means for me to be mentally healthy.
That's incredible. And I mean, when you think about that too, like as an athlete and as a leader on campus, you said it how hard it can be to ask for help and to open up, right? And I guess when you first started doing that and started finding these resources, how did that make you feel? And how were you able to kind of spread that message to your teammates and to other people that, hey, this is a resource that you can use that not only is awesome, but it's helpful and something that makes me a stronger person?
Absolutely. I'll admit I was like extremely nervous. I know now, but I think at the time you think that asking for help is like such a weakness, like it means that your character is weak or you're not strong enough. And I think I struggled with that a lot before like finally having the courage to go in there. But looking back now, I feel like it took more courage to ask for help than to not ask for help. But Shaw Wellness was amazing. Like they greeted me with open arms. They had student ambassadors who I was friends with who were letting me know that, even their ambassadors there and they do the same thing. They're still asking for resources and they're still learning. And that's what made me want to become an ambassador myself. Like it helps you yourself. And then because of that, then you can extend it to the community and you can help other people. And I took on that challenge despite, I was one of only 2 athletes working in at Child Wellness Ambassador because, time and busyness. But I just wanted to do it because it was so important because I feel like other athletes, once you see someone like lead by example, I feel like then it's a lot easier to kind of follow in their footsteps. And I was willing to kind of take that chance or be one of the first people if that meant that other athletes would have easier time or maybe it being more easily accessible if they felt more comfortable knowing that someone who they could relate to was also doing the same thing and asking for help and showing a weakness that people, assume that is.
And it's beautiful because people start seeing that perceived weakness is actually in immense strength and it's immense courage and it's immense vulnerability, and it lets you feel so much better about yourself. And then when a teammate asks, like, if they're going through something, it makes you so much more prepared to say, hey, like, let's talk for a little bit. Like, let me talk to you. And I think one thing too that you were talking about that I really loved is just like the holistic approach to life, right? And you mentioned that you had a tough injury your sophomore year, correct?
Mm-hmm.
And during that injury, you obviously had some time to think, and you had some time to think a little bit more about basketball. How did that kind of affect your mindset and help you realize how, I guess, valuable taking care of yourself holistically is?
Absolutely. I think it just put things into perspective, honestly. Like, I'm a basketball player until I die, definitely. But, when you're so tunnel visioned on something, it just can be difficult to balance everything else. And I think obviously we all want to be successful at our sport. But for me, it helped me realize that I'm bigger than my sport, and there are other aspects that I can be successful in, whether it is school or social life or affecting the community with wellness tips and such things. But I just felt like it was horrible, obviously, and very sad to have that injury. And I was very upset that I couldn't do what I thought I was going to be able to do that season and everything. But it allowed me to get more involved, and it allowed me to, in a way, disconnect for a second from the sport and like be able to experience Colgate from like a perspective where like you can use all the resources that Colgate is offering. And in that way, I was able to reconnect to the athletic community when I kind of felt isolated with my injury, and reconnect in a way that I feel super helpful, especially for other athletes who may be struggling with the same thing and don't know how to address it or don't know what resources they can find or who to talk to.
Absolutely. And that must have helped you so much just with your friends, with your teammates, and just like being able to have those open conversations and that confidence. Because, my sister was, she was a Division III athlete. She was a basketball player. And she said the same thing, how hard it was sometimes to disassociate your identity from the sport when, think about how talented so many of these athletes are, but they don't realize how much they have. They don't realize how much more they have than just the sport, and just how much leadership skills they possess and resilience just from playing this their whole life.
Yeah, exactly.
And another question. So I want to learn a little bit. I loved your story that you told a little bit about how you got into basketball, right? So you told me a little bit about your family. I'd love for you to tell the world a little bit about what got you so passionate about basketball and kind of, a little bit about you as the person.
Yeah, of course. So yeah, I started playing basketball pretty young. It wasn't necessarily competitive. I basically grew up with a family of athletes. I have two older brothers, so they were playing basketball, football, and basketball was kind of my way in. It was kind of my way in to connect with my brothers, to hang out with them, make them spend time with me if I was good at something that they also could do. So I honestly really dedicated myself to that, to playing with my brother, and it was kind of growing up was like my favorite thing to do, just because I got to be around, my siblings. And yeah, it wasn't really competitive until I got a little bit older. And, my parents were like, now we're going to switch you over. You got to start playing with the girls. You're going to play in actual games and you're going to learn how to play. And I was really upset. I was not about it. I was like, why do I have to play with the girls? Like, I love playing with the guys. Like, I want to play with my brother. They were like, you can't do that your whole life. It doesn't work like that. And it was funny, but it did. But when I switched over, I was like, fine. The game did come very easy to me. I think that helped playing, with the boys for so long. And I thought, and then my parents, and I thought, okay, maybe this could be competitive. Maybe I could go somewhere with this. And then it opened up so many opportunities for me. So I'm very happy that I stuck with it.
That's awesome. And then so you're from Boston, correct?
Mm-hmm.
So what made you, I guess, go from Boston? What made you choose Colgate of all the schools to go to?
I just felt like Colgate embodied everything that I wanted. So this is kind of like what we're talking about, holistic approach. I think my parents definitely helped me with this as well. It's kind of when you're younger again, so focused on basketball. But I really wanted a school that would cater to me basketball-wise, academic-wise, social-wise, community-wise, like kind of that whole approach. I really felt like Colgate had everything. Very competitive basketball, competitive league, like athletic community is amazing. But also obviously a great school, and a school like that that encourages all these different types of learning, encourages you to do what you want and to do like what you're interested in, things like that on kind of all aspects. So I feel like Colgate kind of gave me all the resources to be whatever I wanted to be, even if I didn't know yet, going in my freshman year.
It's amazing. And then the growth that you've been able to show from the injury to now, and now you're, here talking about wellness for the whole community. And it just shows the opportunities that you have, and just that inner strength and that inner will to be a good, a better person and a holistic person is amazing. And I also want to ask a little about some of your teammates and some things that you guys do together. So I know you guys had a great year this year, came in third place, which is a big improvement. And every year it seems like you guys are getting better.